People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good afternoon, and I hope you're all doing well and safe, whoever you are, wherever you are. And yeah, man, I hope you're all doing well and safe. It's Friday. I hope you've all had a good week, as much as you can do, away from the results you've obviously seen in recent days or in 24 hours, better yet. Now, good news. And while I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch until I see him holding the shirt or with the picture with the pen and it's made available to the public, I want to be wary, but as you lot have seen, there's news that Balogun has signed a new deal or is close to agreeing, better yet, a new deal, allegedly a 4-year staying at Arsenal Football Club. Obviously, first and foremost, that's fantastic news for Arsenal. You know, he's a homegrown lad. He's doing the business in the academy. You know, we want him to have every opportunity to prove that he can replicate that at first team and do what Bukayo Saka, Smith Rowe, and all these other guys are doing, getting chances. That helps the club, obviously, for two reasons. He either proves he's a first team player, and he goes on and he saves us a buck or two when you consider the future potentially of the two strikers. Long term, I'm talking about, not tomorrow. You know, Balogun's still got a long time to develop. He saves us a buck, like Saka. You know, how much has Saka saved this club? You know, he could save us a buck. Equally, let's be real, as much as I believe in his potential and them things there, if he doesn't quite hit the heights, if it doesn't quite work out, we've put ourselves in a position where he's 19, that deal will be done by the time he's 22. We can get a decent fee for him, a sizable fee, provided he develops, because hopefully he goes on to be an Arsenal first team player, scoring these goals, carrying on where what he's done in his last two appearances for this club. But if he proves to be a player that can't quite hit there, and I don't know, he goes on a couple loans in the Championship, or he went eventually to the Premier League and showed he's a Premier League player, how much does that save the club? And that makes it a success, because we've developed a player who's had a chance in the first team and who's been sold for a profit. And you know, it cost the academy, Hayland, where he's been developed through, around 2-3 million to run a year. If you turn a profit like you did with Iwobi, potentially with Maitland-Niles, maybe Nelson and Joe, what does that put on you? You know, pardon me. Also, I'm happy because, let's be real, all the foreign clubs are getting karma back on these English teams for years, and still to a degree, English teams are, you know, Holland, Germany, taking their best players and doing all the madness. With the dynamic that's flipped with these young players wanting to bust out and stuff like that, you can write it for yourself why we'd be scared to lose Balogun. For me, for free, because, you know, we've not really seen any real figures for Balogun. For Musa's a bit different for him, you know, for Gnabry, for Benatia, Marlon, we've been getting pennies. And, you know, if we're meant to be self-financing, our academy's gonna, you know, has to be a part of helping that, whether that's first teamers and saving us a buck or making a profit for us. I'm happy he stays. Like I said, he's got to develop, you know. I think he's going to be with the first team next year, but we can't assume it, you know. We can't assume it, and we still got to remember he's developed. As great as he's done it at youth level, as we've seen with some other players, the jump is very high. So we've got to give him time to develop. He's 19 years of age. He's ready for first team, but we don't know what we're getting from 10 senior games. He's at that point in his career now. Listen, I think Balogun's wasted a year. In a sense of, I think he should have been, obviously the contract thing has probably shagged it, but he should be within the first team or going out on loan. He's at that level. He's beating up under 23 players. He's stronger than these centre halves. He's faster than them. He's faster in terms of speed of thought. He can do it all. That's good and it's great and it looks good on the clips, but you know, he's not really learning, is he? And that goes for several players, really. You know, look at his age peers or people around his similar stage in development. They've all gone on loan this year. This is why I'm saying the contracts probably played a part within that regards, people. But at the same time, you know, he needs to play against a physically stronger centre half. If he tries to use his strength, he gets put on the deck. If he tries to outpace him, he gets outpaced himself, where he needs to think, okay, I can't race him. Let me try something else. He needs to be out of his depth. The same for Aziz and all of these young players. You only excel in life when you're out of your comfort zone. And we need to give him that healthy breathing room to develop. You know, it's the same a bit with Martinelli. These guys are young men, you know. If they're put into that first team, everyone that's screaming and shouting and raving, when they have a bad game, they're going to turn on them. We need to give these guys scope to develop. He might go off and be a first team or he might not. I'm keen to see what we do with him. Obviously, if he signed a new deal, people, and I really should share this with you. Obviously, if he's allegedly close to signing a new deal, potentially, you know, that kind of tells you what we might be doing already with the strikers that we have at this club, people. Potentially, you know, are we moving Lacazette on? You know, is Eddie Nketiah, who's also got the same agent, being moved on? You know, I think there's reason to move people on and keep people. As you know, we've spoken about Lacazette. Eddie's a peculiar one because I think he should probably sold. Equally, I could see logic in signing a new deal, going out on loan, sending him out on a couple of years on loan, hoping that to a small degree he can become an Arsenal sort of quality striker. But realistically, just by getting sheer games in the Premier League, asserting yourself as a footballer, making a healthy buck on the guy, really. So this tells me that his agent has clarity over what he's doing with what the club's doing with Eddie Nketiah, really. And it tells me obviously that we have a plan for it. Again, let's be real. Clubs will listen, Arsenal, I'll be doing the same. I'll be telling Balogun everything under the sun to get him to commit a new deal. But when he signs it, if he doesn't play, we've been there before. But I'd assume his agent and Balogun, they've been told specifically, individually, what the club is attempting to do to develop him and how he ties into the whole philosophy. I don't think Arteta's going to tell him, yo, the pecking order, Aubameyang's here, you're here. But where we see him in 6 months, you're going to be an Arsenal first teamer. You're going to play around here a bit more. You're going to get opportunities. Or, all right, cool, you sign this deal, you go out on loan. If you do this within the next 6 months, you're going to be here. Then the next 12 months, you're here. Within the next 18 months, we want you here. And then you're there, because he doesn't have to be the player tomorrow. Like I said, the man is 19. We've just got to know how we're developing these players. And it's a bit like, you've got Balogun, even Martinelli, Saliba to come back, and a couple of other names. Potential is one thing. They've got to realize it. But we've also got to know that we have to, we're facilitators of talent. We need to know how we're going to harness that. How are we going to give it our best shot of allowing Balogun to replicate what he's been doing at youth level at first team? I think he's got it in him. I said it in the live stream. What I like about Balogun, not to speak about Eddie Nketiah people, but Balogun's thing is different for me. There's a swagger about how Balogun does things. Like Tyrese John Jules as well. Not that Eddie don't believe in himself, but it's like he believes in himself. The runs he makes, he does things with conviction. He's a lovely runner of a ball. Makes good runs off the ball. He's obviously a good finisher, as he's shown. He's a bit stronger in terms of hold-up play. There's a lot of development to be done. He hasn't played 10 games at senior level. We don't know his true level, but I think the raw components are there. Allegedly, he was close to signing or agreeing a contract with a foreign club. Allegedly, Leverkusen were onto him. We heard Stuttgart wanted him and that. As you lot can see, the Daily Mail also said Man City wanted him, which, you're not going to play there. As you lot can see, Arsenal are close to tying down Folarin Balogun on a new long-term deal, which obviously brings to a close potentially months of uncertainty over the 19-year-old's contract. And for Balogun, he's at a important stage of his career. As much as I want him to stay at Arsenal Football Club, he needs to be selfish. If he believes this is the best place to stay and develop, he needs to make that decision because I wanted to, not because your agent, not because the club. You need to be selfish now. You're 19. You don't need to be the finished article, but it's time to make grades. Personally, a year's never wasted, but I feel he's wasted a year as a fan of him. I think he's wasted it. He should have been doing League One or Championship or things like that. You need to play. It'll be an absolute crime if this man is not playing senior football, in my opinion, to some capacity next year. He needs to push for that. Every year he needs to be looking at, okay, I'm 19 now. When I'm 20, this time a year from now, when I'm 20, I want to be at this level. Under 23s can give you a false sense of security. Like I said, you bully up everything. If you're a defender, you're not really tested like that occasionally. This tells me that there's a plan, but there's also got to be clarity. Don't let Arsenal tell you everything, because Arsenal will tell you that you're in our best interest to stay. We've got a first team player potentially, or there's a profit. But what if this continues next year? What if there's still a year? We drag Lacazette's contract out for a year. Aubameyang's still there, obviously. Martinelli, left wing striker, what's happening? There's obviously other strikers. And I personally feel if Arteta he would bring in another striker. On contract, Eddie Nketiah is still contracted as well. So there will be movement. I do think Eddie Nketiah is not going to be here next year, or in some capacity, potentially Lacazette, in my opinion. And then I could see having Balogun as the young sort of striker. But again, is that, as much as we care about the future and we're at that level, I do think you can't really undervalue experience. So there is a possibility for Lacazette to stay. I know what happened last 24 hours ago, people. Did the club have enough with the finishing that they just had to announce this Balogun thing? I don't know. But Cavani's gone off the ball at United, but you see the value in having that sort of other striker because the pressure is different. Suddenly, in an ideal world, we'd love Balogun and Martinelli to just get football, but in real time, they're going to have good and bad periods just as footballers they're developing. What happens when Martinelli and Balogun, they're struggling and they're regulars? You need someone to take the handbrake. You can see a future of Balogun, Aubameyang, and obviously Martinelli doing up that striker. I do probably see another striker coming in, not this summer, but who knows? I'm happy to keep him because he's got potential and he's a good player, and I would like to see him do his thing, people. Hopefully he can now build on his 2 goals. Obviously you can see Monaco, Stuttgart were previously linked with him. We've been in talks for months. I give credit to Edu because Arteta basically indirectly said Edu's in charge of this, so they've told him something, you know. So we'll have to see, people. Yeah, I'm not going to keep, you lot can go on the Daily Mail or anybody else who's reported this and see it for yourself, people. To reiterate some previous points, like I said, this means they have to have showed him a plan for himself and how he fits into this football club and a pathway. Promises are a comfort to a fool. There's no divine rights to get anything, but provided certain variables are hit, there's that. Also impressive that we've got a 4-year deal. Now, obviously, if he plays well, there'll be an improved contract on offer without a doubt. But it's nice to see there's a 4-year deal there. You know, maybe there's an option of a 5th. Maybe I'm asking for too much. So like I said, they've clearly showed you a plan, which couldn't always be said, in my opinion, for everybody, how they see your development in the next 6 to 18 months, how they see you in 2 years and potentially beyond that. Because you still be young at 2020, I keep saying 2022, at 22 years of age. You know, surely this means, if not and or Lacazette or Nketiah, or one of them will be moved on, you know. As much as I want Balogun to make it here, you know, things happen. He might not quite hit the grade, which we have to prepare for that reality. And if not, can you make a decent profit on him, you know? And I'm keen to see, in particular for the next 6 months, will he be in and around the first team or will he go out alone? Because I do think obviously his contract has played a massive part in probably not getting opportunities at this football club. But there has been times, you know, with the Europa League, you're allowed more subs and you're allowed more players on the bench. Lacazette's had injuries. Aubameyang's had loss of form and not been involved for personal reasons, and he hasn't always made the squad. So this could obviously paint a picture to leaving. You know, I do think personally, if I was Balogun, you know, without knowing anything, I'd really want to stay at Arsenal. But potentially, if there's a club with lesser resources where they're going to give me more opportunities, it is what it is. But I like to see Balogun backs himself, obviously from a selfish point of view, and from a selfish point of view as a fan. You know, whether he makes it here or not, I have said it before and I'll say it again. To have Balogun, Tyrese, John Jules, and Eddie Nketiah, I think you should be looking to make 20 million a pop. These can all be 20 million rated players. I do believe 2 of those players, Balogun and Tyrese, John Jules, can make it in this first team. I'm not going to rule out Eddie. I just think them lot have a bit more to them. You know, but football is tough. You should be making profit and you should be self-financing. And you look at our under 23s. They're all like Balogun, where, you know, it's not really an under 23s thing at the moment anymore. You look at them, you know, Ben Cottrell's got to go out on loan for me, you know, unless again, who am I to, I'm just a fan with an opinion. But if I'm selfish for him, you see your partner Matt Smith go out on loan. I bet he's learned a lot at Swindon and Charlton. I'm not saying Ben Cottrell hasn't learned anything at 23s level, but, you know, men's football, for want of a better term, you immediately see your level. You know, under 23s, you can flatter to deceive. And yeah, man, it's good for Balogun because obviously it puts to bed speculation and everyone, you know, having their comment, and we can just focus on his football and stuff. And now he can stop the social media antics. But it's nice that he stays. You know, I'm all for the Haaland players. On that note, I'm going to get out of here, people. I just thought I would do a separate video to reiterate Balogun because I did think I spoke about it in my live stream, but I didn't think I honed in on all of the points I would have liked to have made. So yeah, man, Balogun, keep your head down, keep developing. Well done, Arsenal. If this is true, like I said, until I see a picture and it's official, which it might be, I can't really comment. But on that note, I'm gonna get out of here, man. People, Deluded, I'm out. Please make sure you hit the like button, you comment if you've got any comments, and the rest of it.